It's the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
Monday evening and welcome to the review edition of ZiFM Sport. Always exciting on a Monday because we got plenty of meat on the bone. There was plenty of action over the weekend and we have a stellar cast here to pick that bone apart. That team is Barry Manandi, Alois Munjira, Christine Midzi, our producer Sean Tafirinika, and my name is Mike Madoda. Good news coming out of ZiFM on the home front. Zimbabwe will play Malawi in a friendly match at the Kamuzu Stadium in Blantyre on the 11th of October as part of the preparations for the crucial Africa Cup of Nations qualifying ties. We also go international on sports news, stateside to be precise, where the Miami Heat stormed into the NBA Finals showdown with the LA Lakers after victory over the Boston Celtics in the early hours of the morning to wrap up their series 4-2.
And around the world in 60, we begin in the United Arab Emirates, where the Rajasthan Royals completed the highest run chase in IPL history to secure a dramatic 4-wicket victory over the Kings 11 Punjab in one of the most thrilling clashes in IPL history. In France, Victoria Azarenka won her first-round match against Danka Kovinic at the French Open after initially refusing to play because of the chilly autumnal conditions in Paris. And in South Africa, the Bulls began the Jake White era in fine style as they comprehensively outplayed the Sharks 49-28 in this Superfan Saturday match at Loftus.
We take a break for our play of the day. It is Manic Monday. Then we dive into the Castle Lager World Football Report, where we start in Spain, and Barcelona kicked off their La Liga campaign in style with an impressive 4-0 home win against Villarreal last night. On Saturday, Luis Suarez enjoyed an impressive debut for Atletico Madrid, netting a brace in his side 6-1 demolition of Granada. In the Bundesliga, it was a weekend of upsets for the Giants as Borussia Dortmund came a cropper against Augsburg before treble winners Bayern Munich was stunned 4-1 away at Hoffenheim for their first defeat in 32 matches in all competitions. In Italy, Serie A to be specific, Inter Milan returned to action with a thrilling 4-3 win over Fiorentina before Cristiano Ronaldo's second goal rescued a 2-2 draw for 10-man Juventus away to Roma last night. In the Premier League, Jamie Vardy scored a hat-trick and Leicester ran riot in a stunning 5-2 victory over Manchester City at the Etihad. We'll also preview tonight's mouth-watering clash between Liverpool and Arsenal at Anfield. All of that and so much more to look forward to on this edition of ZiFM Sport. But we start with our power play. It's Manic Monday. Here's Ava Max. It's a track called Kings and Queens.
The Warriors, the Chevrons, the Cheetahs, the Mighty Warriors, and the Sables. From the pool to the track to the field, we are Team Zimbabwe. The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis.
The one thing we love here at ZiFM Sport is that we love to keep it interactive. So we want to hear from you, your thoughts, your views, your impressions coming out of the world of sport. Follow and interact with at ZiFM Sport on Twitter. You can also interact with us in our individual capacities. Simply search for us by name. Now, it's not usual that we have good news coming out of 53 Livingston Avenue. That's the headquarters of Zimbabwe Football, the Zimbabwe Football Association here in Zimbabwe. But on this edition of ZiFM Sport, we actually do, because it's been announced that the Warriors, the Zimbabwe national team, will play Malawi in a friendly match at the Kamuzu Stadium in Blantyre on the 11th of October as part of their preparations for their crucial Africa Cup of Nations qualifying ties. Remember, back-to-back clashes versus Algeria. It's a tough ask forced Zdravko Logarusic in his first official matches in charge of the Warriors. But Alois, the concern is that this friendly match is being sanctioned before we even have a kick of football in our local game at any level.
Yeah, Mike, I'm not sure what and how this game is going to be played and who is going to be playing, which players are going to be taking part, because we haven't had soccer for the almost all year round. Since January, we haven't kicked the ball. So if we talk about locally best players, we don't know. When you look at European best players, their leagues have just started, and I don't know if we have already sent invitation letters for this game. So I'm not really sure who is going to be coming to play, because earlier on we had that Lugarusi said that he is only going to be using European best players. So are these players going to be the ones that are coming to play against Malawi? I'm not sure, because if we do that, if we invited them, if we go for local players, do we have the players? Because we haven't kicked the ball. So I think we are in a situation where I can't even explain how it's going to be done.
Barry, just 2 weeks between now and the 11th of October. There's been talk that Logarusic, in fact, he's come out and he said that he may be forced to pick a squad entirely on the guys who apply their trade outside of Zimbabwe. Now, I want to ask you, how feasible is that? And two, we're hearing that FIFA has said to teams that you don't have to release your players this time for international fixtures. So it could leave Logarusic in a bit of a quandary.
Yeah, that creates the problem, doesn't it? Because Logarusic saying that he wants to use internationally based players is perfectly fine. Where the problem starts is that we are not assured that those teams are going to release their players, and I think that's why ZiFM was trying to make frantic efforts to get the local league, or at least the Premier League, to get some sort of action so that the players here could be fit to show up if the internationals aren't able to come through. We still haven't got a word out of ZiFM. We've got 2 weeks now. If this week runs out, I fear that we may not have time to assemble a team.
Now, Chris, I want us to pull out our calendar again and have a look at those dates. So it's 2 weeks until we play Malawi in a friendly match in Blantyre. And then after that, it's just 4 weeks until we play Algeria in the first of the AFCON qualifiers. Is that enough time? 6 weeks, I take a look at it, enough time to get our players up to speed and for them to be competitive enough for Algeria?
It's a no. It's a soft no. It's a soft no because, first of all, Algeria themselves were always going to be a very hard side for us to play. That's to start off with. Another thing is that when you've had players who've been off season and playing no football at all, they're not fit in any sense of the word, whether it's match fit, whether you look at their physical fitness, they're not fit at all. I think 6 weeks is a very short amount of time, and this is what could have been avoided had our Football Association been a little bit more organized. I think now we're seeing a bit more movement. We're seeing some suggestions and plans being thrown around because these timelines are now very tight. But is there enough time for us to be competitive against a team like Algeria? I'm going to say no.
Alois, I saw a tweet by Peter de Jong, the FC Platinum coach, of course, the champions of Zimbabwe, where he was talking about needing a minimum of 6 weeks to get his players up to speed for the CAF Champions League. So that for me would sort of like be a guiding time period for players to be match fit and ready to play competitive football. You played a lot of football, of course, as a professional. Is that so? Is 6 weeks decent enough? What are sort of like the time frames that you would need for you to get up to speed? If you bear in mind, Alois, the fact that we're not just talking about pre-season here. So these are not players who have just taken a 2-month holiday. These are players that have not had competitive football since December 2019, 10 months ago.
Yeah, Mike, this is a very crazy situation that we are facing here. You know, when he's talking about 6 weeks, he's talking about pre-season training, which is like the periodization that you need about 6 weeks to start slow. You start with an aerobic, then you go into until you get your practice match situation, whereby 2 weeks before you kick off a season or you go into a match, you start preparing for matches 2 weeks before. So he is talking about the basic pre-season training that is under normal circumstances. So like you're saying, like you rightfully say, it's not enough at all, because you are facing a situation of training players that they have not played since December. So the gradual training, it has to be slower, much slower than it is supposed to be for people that have been going for off season for just 2 months.
Alois, Alois, I think it's also important for us to remember that we're dealing with a new coach as well. So even if those players that are coming from the international bases do come in and they get those 3 or 4 days, they're trying to learn new things from a new coach. So this is not an ideal scenario or situation at all. It's
totally difficult. But 6 weeks in this situation,
on so many levels.
6 weeks in this situation is just a crash thing. It's just kungoti zvingoita. But otherwise, this situation is really bad.
Yeah, it's a bad one for Zimbabwe football, and I like the point that you brought up, Barry, the fact that Logarisic is a new coach dealing with new players dealing with a new way of playing, new system. Can they suck it all up in those weeks, in those days, and be able to be competitive for a team like Algeria, which has got a lot of continuity and which boasts a lot of players who are playing their careers in some of
African champions, Mikey.
Yeah, African champions. Yesterday we saw the goal scored by Riyad Mahrez for Manchester City, albeit in a losing cause, but it just shows you the type of quality that Zimbabwe is going to be up against. So it's a tricky one for ZiFM to negotiate. It's a tricky one for Logarisic, especially to negotiate, as he's the man who will be judged by the results of the Warriors. This is ZiFM Sport on a Monday. Exciting show as always. International sports news coming up, and then in the second half of the show, we'll be taking a look at the major leagues of Europe, La Liga, Bundesliga, Serie A, as well as the Premier League, where Manchester City were brought down to earth last night by Jamie Vardy.
Hi, I'm Warriors coach Zdravko Logarušić, and you are listening to ZiFM Sport.
Sports with a difference.
Let's give you a local sports news roundup now, starting with cricket, where Zimbabwe national cricket team players were excited to make a return to the field after featuring in their first cricket match in 6 months during intra-squad practice match at Harare Sports Club on Saturday. The Chevron started team training at Harare Sports Club last week after Zimbabwe cricket received clearance from government for the proposed series tour of Pakistan next month. The T20 encounter saw some impressive performances with the bat by former captain Elton Chigumbura and current Test skipper Sean Williams after they both smashed half centuries. On to rugby news. Zimbabwe Rugby Union remain optimistic the game will bounce back soon and are already planning a tri-nation tournament that will mark the senior national team's return to action. ZRU President Aaron Jani said there are discussions for a tri-nations tourney that would involve Zambia and South Africa. Jani believes that with only 3 months remaining until the end of the year, the union can still salvage some action. ZRU plan to get Sabres coach Brendan Dawson and his men ready for the tournament, while modalities for the Tri-Nations tournament are being finalized. Let's wrap it up with golf news. Zimbabwean golf legend Nick Price might have retired from competitive professional golf many years ago, but he remains widely acknowledged as one of the most influential figures in the global game. The Zimbabwean added another feather to his cap after he was made an honorary member of the Royal and Ancient Golf Club of St Andrews in Scotland, becoming the latest addition to a distinguished list of luminaries who are members of golf's most famous and influential club. Price is a 3-time major champion, a former world number 1, and was inducted into the World Golf Hall of Fame in 2003. Congratulations to him. To those that know golf, this is a major accolade for a major Zimbabwean son.
Hi, this is Mike Madoda, and you can catch me and the team for all the latest breaking news out of the world of sport, local as well as international, on your favorite station. My station, your station, ZiFM. We are Z-Team on ZiFM Sport.
Z. International Sports News Roundup, where the world comes out to play.
The NBA bubble has reached its definitive business end. We now know the participants in the NBA Finals for the year 2020. Let's give you those that got there and how they did so. Let's start with the Heat, the Miami Heat. They stormed into the NBA Finals showdown with the LA Lakers after a 125-113 victory, completed a 4-2 win over the Boston Celtics in the early hours of the morning. Bam Adebayo led the way with a career-high 32 points and 14 rebounds, while Game 5 hero Tyler Hero came alive again with 11 of his 19 points in the fourth quarter as Miami booked their return to the NBA's season showpiece. Let's hear from Miami's Jimmy Butler, who's never wavered on his team's pursuit of the NBA championship this season.
I've said it time and time again. I believe in our group. I know that we can still win 4 more. We're not satisfied. We're not complacent. We know we got a really good team to go up against. We can enjoy it for the night, but we said this from the beginning of the year. A lot of ups and a lot of downs, obviously, with everything that's happened in 2020. But from a basketball standpoint, it couldn't be better. You're talking about where we are right now going to the finals. This is what you want. We talked about it. We put that out there in the world, and I think all of that positive energy that we put out, it came back to us. We believed when not too many didn't, but that's okay. So we're going to keep believing and get these next 4.
Mikey, Jimmy Buckets, as he's popularly known, Jimmy Butler, with 22 points. But you got to say that the Heat had contributions from all over the floor, and this has been, throughout the postseason, a team effort.
Yeah, absolutely. Team effort, Barry. But even in that team effort, Jimmy Butler has been the star. He had 22 points in this game. And they've also had contributions off the bench as well. Tyler Hero is becoming something of a hero. 19 points, 11 of them.
I was waiting for you to say that.
11 of his 19 points coming in the fourth quarter. So he's a clutch player. Whenever the team is up against it, whenever the team needs someone to rise up to the occasion, Tyler Hero is your man. But I'm going to point out one guy I believe is going to be key for the Miami Heat in the final. It's Andre Iguodala. He's a guy who's got the experience. He's a guy who's got the know-how. He's played in big finals. He's got a couple of rings on his hand. He knows how to do it. And he's an extremely competitive campaigner. He has to play his best ball and bring all his experience to bear if Miami Heat are to be competitive.
You need a guy like that in the locker room, don't you? Like Andre Iguodala, a guy who's seen it all, been there, been at the mountaintop, as it were, especially when you've got players who haven't necessarily witnessed the type of pressure that they're going to be under in a 7-game series against the Lakers, Chris?
Definitely. I think when you're going into matches like this, like you said, there's a lot more pressure, there's a lot more on the line, and it's very easy for a number of players at various stages throughout this. We've seen where players don't necessarily play their best, where they don't come through like they're supposed to for their teams. But when you have that experienced player, you're then able to basically benefit off of that experience and know what to do, and he's able to lead and guide that team.
All right, let's take a look at the best in the West, and it's the LA Lakers and their talisman, King James. LeBron James says they've got bigger fish to fry. They went there. It only took 5 games, a 4-1 over the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets failing to overturn a 3-1 deficit for the first time in the postseason, coming a cropper against the LA Lakers. And now LeBron James says they've got to go all the way, and they've got to go past. That is the Miami Heat. Let's hear from King James.
I've always said that, and I've always had the mindset that, in a closeout game for me personally, I'm just as desperate as the team that we're trying to close out. And if we're in a position where we can win that game, that's just my mindset. Does it always go that route? No, because I don't believe I'm undefeated. I'm not undefeated in closeout games. But my mindset is that I do not, if we've played well enough, and we're in the fourth quarter and we have a chance to win, I do not want to play another game. I mean, I love the game, but I do not want to play another game. And that's always been my mindset. I want to be just as desperate as my opponent, just as desperate as the other team, the player that I'm lined up against, the coaching staff that's on the other side. It's just who I am. It's just the mindset I'm able to link into at that very moment.
Mikey, LeBron James has been there, done that with Miami and Cleveland. You've got a man who's punctuated this postseason with his 27th triple-double. Big fourth quarter in this Game 5. Does he have the form? Does he have the ability to carry the team all the way?
A form he certainly has, Barry. 38 points, 16 rebounds, 10 assists, and ability, no doubt. Remember, he's won 3 NBA titles. He's been to the finals. This will now be his 10th trip to the finals. And his detractors will say, well, you know, he's lost 6 series, but he's been up against really good sides. And so this is an opportunity. This is what I call a legacy series. And LeBron is well aware what it will mean in terms of the basketball conversations around the greats of the game if he's able to get the Lakers back to their perch, as it were. So he wants this one. He's got to be keen for this one. And even at that trophy presentation, you could see he remained focused. He was not going to celebrate that Western Conference title. He wants this one because he knows that it will add to his legacy.
Chris, I know that I like the way Mike talks about the fact that LeBron James is absolutely focused on closing it out in the finals. And you got to say, in this Lakers team, he's got players around him that can also turn his legacy into a team legacy. And chief among them, obviously, must be Anthony Davis, scoring 27 points in this Game 5. And you got to say to yourself, he's going to be a big factor in the 7-game series of the finals.
Yeah, big factor. He's come through in the postseason incredibly. He's been right there with King James in terms of getting those wins and coming through in every single game. I think a couple of other players as well worth mentioning, Rajon Rondo and Kyle Kuzma. I think those are players who've made incredible contributions to the team. And once you have that kind of support, I think James is going to be able to get his legacy over the line.
That legacy will come under test as of the early hours of Thursday morning. It's the NBA Finals Game 1. The Los Angeles Lakers take on the Miami Heat. Remember, there's a small undercurrent. LeBron James turned out for the Miami Heat.
Hi, this is Alexandra Maseko, and I'm the national basketball team captain, and you're listening to ZiFM Sport.
Only DSTV brings you the very best football action. Catch all the action from the most popular league in the world, the English Premier League, with some of the world's biggest stars in Sadio Mane, Harry Kane, Sergio Aguero, and Virgil van Dijk.
Oh, they done it! I cannot believe it!
Catch all the action on the brand new SuperSport Premier League channel on channel 223. We have the world's best football, only on DSTV.
Around the world in 60 seconds. International sports news.
Around the World in 60 is proudly brought to you by DSTV. We'll begin in the United Arab Emirates, where the Rajasthan Royals completed the highest run chase in IPL history to secure a dramatic 4-wicket victory over the Kings 11 Punjab in one of the most thrilling clashes in IPL history. Kings 11 Punjab performed magnificently with the bat to post 223 for 2 from their 20 overs. Sanjan Samson and Steve Smith provided the Royals with a superb platform, but having endured a sluggish start, Rahul Tewatia produced some late heroics as the Royals made back-to-back victories to kick off their campaign. We head over to France, where Victoria Azarenka won her first round match against Danka Kovinic in the French Open after initially refusing to play because of the chilly autumnal conditions in Paris. Rain was in the air and wind whipping up the clay, and Azarenka sat down on her chair and told supervisor Claire Wood in no uncertain terms that she was not prepared to wait on court to see if conditions improved. Players went into the locker room and returned 45 minutes later when the rain eased off. Azarenka lost just 2 more games in a 6-1, 6-2 victory. And we touched down in South Africa, where the Bulls began the Jake White era in fine style as they comprehensively outplayed the Sharks 49-28 in their Superfan Saturday match at Loftus. At the same venue, the Stormers pack laid the foundation for a solid 34-21 win over the Lions. Once teams emptied their benches and the Stormers were no longer playing with their first choice forward unit, it was a different game and the Lions came back strongly. But Stormers coach John Dobson was happy with the way his run-on team dominated proceedings until the 50th minute. So some inside news for you. SuperSport is on the verge of launching a game-changing app, and it'll revolutionize the way you consume sport on your mobile device. Before that, though, we'd love to hear from you, the sports fan we're catering for, on what you think of the beta version of the SuperSport app. Let us know your thoughts, whether you're praising us, criticizing, or giving suggestions, and we'll use it to shape the app into a world-class multi-sport companion.
The league that makes football oh so beautiful. Where artistry and strokes of genius are the order of any day. Where the game is played with a smile and the little master creates his magic.
It's Lionel Messi!
All the news from the Spanish La Liga on ZiFM Sport.
The goal the world wanted!
So much to get through on the Castle Lager World Football Report, and there's no better place to kick off than in Spain, where it was match day 2. Your results from over the weekend: a goalless draw between Alaves and Getafe. Valencia held at home by Huesca. 1-1 that match ended. Real Sociedad continued the impressive start to the season with a 3-0 win over Elche. Real Betis coach Manuel Pellegrini says that the combination of Real Madrid and VAR was the difference as Betis lost to Madrid 3-2. Very interesting match this one, Barry. Real Madrid not at their best, and they had VAR to thank for dragging them back into the game.
I could say, as they do, have VAR to assist them, but nonetheless, that's just a snide remark. But in truth, not at their best, and we'll give them a free pass. So, but like we said, after match day 5, I think Zinedine Zidane's got to have a rabbit to pull out of somewhere to ensure that this Real Madrid shows up the way in which everyone expects it to, because they haven't looked too flash in the last couple of games.
Well, the other side in Madrid got their season off to a barnstormer. Atletico Madrid 6-1 victors over Granada, and the headlines all made by Luis Suarez, the former Barcelona striker. 2 goals and 1 assist. Could have won a penalty as well in his 19-minute cameo. Chris, what a performance from Suarez.
Absolutely brilliant performance. I think he started on Thursday with them. He comes into the team and he manages to do exactly what he was brought in to do, which is to score goals and to have impact. 2 goals and 1 assist. I think this is an absolutely brilliant performance from him, especially given the tumultuousness of the last few weeks.
Okay, carrying on with your results. Levante won on the road 3-1 at Osasuna. Athletic Club got back to winning ways 2-1 on the road to Aiba. Cadiz, a promoted side, thumped by Sevilla 3-1 despite taking the lead, and Real Valladolid and Celta Vigo playing a 1-1 draw. Now all eyes in Spain, it can be argued, were on Catalonia. Barcelona, how would they perform in their first game of the Ronald Koeman era? And it was an impressive performance. 4-0 home win, goals for Lionel Messi and Ansu Fati, but Ansu Fati outdoing the master. A brace, Alois, and I know you love a young player, just 17 years old this star.
I love him, Mike. You're very right. You know, he is a brilliant player. He has got so much technical ability, and he has got this agility that is beyond his age. And the confidence is out of this world. You know, he is playing like he is a superstar. He's playing like he is already an experienced player. I like the way he carries himself on the field. And, you know, he's doing things as if he has been doing this for many years, but he's only 17 years old. So well done to the boy. Outdoing Messi is not job, guys. And this is a youngster that is just making his debut into the season. And I'm happy. And like you said, I like youngsters. So well done to Ansu.
Of course, given his opportunity by their new coach, Ronald Koeman. Let's hear from the Dutch master.
I didn't dream about the final result. Of course, it's our first official match for the season, and we are really happy about the final result. I think we played a great first half. We scored 4 times, and that was very good. The second half, I think it was a little bit, the rhythm of the game was a little bit more down than it was in the first, but okay, we have to realize it's our first official match of the season, and that's normal. We need to be still more on the physical way, but I think the whole impression of the team was really good tonight.
Ronald Koeman, understandably a very happy man. Barry, what mark are you giving him? First outing as Barcelona coach, first official match in charge, that is. If you were to give him a mark out of 10, what would it be?
I think I saw the passing looking a lot better than it has in many years. I saw Barcelona looking more like Barcelona, so I'm giving him an 8 out of 10.
And Chris, you are running your eye over La Liga this past weekend. Who do you pick as the star performer?
My star performer this week, Luis Suarez, I think without a doubt, coming in, just playing about 19 minutes, 2 goals, 1 assist. It's the first time a player scored a brace on their debut for Atletico Madrid. I think he's my player of the week, but also just a quick honorable mention to Ansu Fati, those 2 goals for Barcelona. I think he's developing into an incredible player.
From Rufaro to Barberfield, Mandava to Nyamunga, all the perfect moments in the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League come together on ZiFM Sport. Horsepower unmatched. Torque to beat the best. Speed unrivaled. Sleek and easy on the eye. Let's get behind the wheel of football engineered to perfection. The Bundesliga, made in Germany.
All right, let's go into Germany, into the Bundesliga. And what a weekend of football. Let's give you the results. Eintracht Frankfurt 3-1 over Hertha Berlin. Stuttgart imperious over Mainz, winning that match 4-1 on the road. And then Emil Forsberg and Karim Demirbay traded stunning first half goals for RB Leipzig and Bayer Leverkusen in an entertaining 1-1 draw at the Bayer Arena. And these sorts of games, Chris, are why we watch the Bundesliga, because games like this can be it can end as 1-1, but it's hugely entertaining.
Hugely entertaining, beautiful to watch. And normally, probably as Zimbabweans, Africans in general, we'd watch the main games, but this, especially between RB Leipzig, Bayer Leverkusen, very entertaining. And RB Leipzig, as usual, coming into this season off the back of last season, playing brilliant football.
Indeed, Borussia Mönchengladbach also played out a 1-1 draw. They were taking on Union Berlin. But moving on to the shock results of the weekend, Mike, Bundesliga title hopefuls Borussia Dortmund, they suffered a blow in a 2-0 defeat at Augsburg as Daniel Caligiuri set up the first goal and scored the second in his 300th league game. And then treble winners, of course, Bayern Munich were stunned as they lost 4-1 away at Hoffenheim for their first defeat for 32 matches in all competitions. Now, football pundit Steve Nicol says that Bayern were outplayed and outcoached. I want the thoughts of Mike after we hear from Steve Nicol.
It was just one of those days. Other than Neuer, everybody was pretty awful. Absolutely nothing. They got outplayed, they got outthought, outsmarted, outcoached. I mean, just you name it. And that back line was absolutely atrocious.
Mikey, this is the proverbial cat amongst the pigeons, isn't it, for these two giants of German football?
Yeah, absolutely, Barry. A good weekend for the Bundesliga because it was a couple of results that we weren't expecting. And guess what? The 2 teams that beat Bayern Munich and Dortmund are the 2 teams that are currently sitting at the top of the Bundesliga standings right now, Hoffenheim and Augsburg. So it breathed life into the competition, and we move away from the normal narrative that Borussia Dortmund are going to win, that Bayern Munich cannot be beaten. Well, they can be beaten. It gives hope to those teams that would think that they've got an outside chance of winning the title. Good results for the Bundesliga.
Good result for the Bundesliga. Good result for those teams that beat those teams. I don't think they would have chalked those off as 3-pointers, but they certainly were this past weekend. Let's wrap up those results out of Germany. Arminia Bielefeld beating Cologne 1-0, and then Freiburg and Wolfsburg playing out a 1-1 draw. There's already been upshot from this past weekend because Werder Bremen beat Schalke 3-1, and Schalke have fired their coach David Wagner following an unprecedented run of 18 matches without a win. Wagner was let go after his side lost 3-1 at home to Werder Bremen on Saturday, meaning their last win in the Bundesliga came in January. And Alois, we can all understand it wasn't working with David Wagner.
No, it was not working. You know, there are times then we cry, they should have given him time. But this one, it wasn't working. We understand.
A very obvious one. Mike, let me wrap it up with you. Who would you say
it was the star turn in Germany this past weekend?
Oh, it's going to be Andre Kramaric, the lead attacker for Hoffenheim. Hoffenheim impressive 4-1 victors over Bayern Munich. And the reason why they were impressive is in no small part due to the performance of Andre Kramaric. He was magnificent, scored a brace in that game. And any time you run the Bayern Munich defense rugged, you deserve to be called a star.
Alcohol may be hazardous to health if consumed to excess. The operation of machinery or driving after the consumption of alcohol is not advisable. Not for sale to persons under the age of 18 years.
Castle Lager is more than just beer. It's pure liquid gold, crafted from the finest local ingredients to deliver a taste that is somewhat dry, somewhat bitter, but never sweet. It's the taste that stood the test of time. It all comes together with a castle.
The Nerazzurri, the Black and Blues, Inter Milan.
It's Romelu Lukaku, and it was never in doubt. He's a beast at the best of times, but this season he has become a monster.
The Giallorossi, the Yellow and Reds, AS Roma.
Belotti has a go! Tremendous hits! That's what he's capable of.
La Viola, the Purple Ones, Fiorentina.
Franck Ribéry seals a glorious win for Fiorentina with a sumptuous goal at San Siro.
The Bianconeri, the Black and Whites, Juventus.
Ronaldo seals yet another 3 points for Juventus.
Tough yet colourful. The best of Italian football on Z.
Let's head over to Italy. Lots of goals scored this past weekend. Torino going down 4-2 against Atalanta, who continue their impressive start to the season. Cagliari beaten at home 2-0 by Lazio. Sampdoria going down against Benevento 3-2. Inter Milan scoring twice in the final 3 minutes as they beat Fiorentina 4-3 in their opening Serie A game. Alois, not a glut of goals, but lots of goals coming from Inter Milan and nicely spread across the team as well.
Yeah, Chris, we talked about Inter Milan saying that, Antonio Conte needs another season so that he can actually get things right, because last season was his first season. So we can actually see now there's an improvement at Inter Milan. We can actually see the way they are playing, where they are going, and I can safely say that Inter Milan can really challenge for the championship this season. It's going to be close, and I've got a feeling that they might just win it. With Antonio Conte, he's been a winner, and with the way they've started now, I've got a feeling. I just have a feeling, some of it in the Pamoyo, because I don't want Juve to keep on winning. But I've got a feeling that Inter have got a genuine chance to win this.
Continuing those results from the weekend, Spezia going down 4-1 against Sassuolo. Hellas Verona 1-0 against Udinese. Crotone going down at home 2-0 against AC Milan. Irving Lozano struck twice as Napoli thrashed Genoa 6-0 to begin their campaign with back-to-back victories. And the big one, of course, Cristiano Ronaldo's second goal of the night rescued a 2-2 draw for 10-man Juventus away to AS Roma in Serie A last night after Jordan Vertu had twice put the capital club in front. We did say that this was going to be a bit more of a test for Andrea Pirlo. Mike, how do you think he fared in this particular one against a side that was actually pretty strong?
The Stadio Olimpico, Chris, never an easy place to go. So Juventus, I think, will be happy with the fact that they managed to get a point, especially having been reduced to 10 men after Rabiot was given his marching orders. Cristiano Ronaldo doing what he knows how to do best, and that is to score goals. The second one, a thumping header, and that is CR7 for you. But Roma will feel like these are 2 points dropped because they had chances to win it, especially when they led 2-1. I thought Edin Dzeko could have, of course, added to the advantage, but he missed a couple of gilt-edged opportunities. And when that happens and you have players like CR7 on the other side, they're able to take advantage of your inadequacies in front of goal.
There has to be one standout player in Serie A from this past match day. Who's that pick for you, Barry?
Look, in truth, you and Mike discussed him. It's Cristiano Ronaldo. Juventus down to 10 men. When you've got a get out of jail free card like Cristiano Ronaldo and a man who's got hang time in the air, only comparable possibly to Michael Jordan in a completely different sport, it'll always get you out of jail. So I think Cristiano Ronaldo, fantastic performance in that 2-2 draw against AS Roma.
Action continues tonight. One more match on the cards. That is Bologna versus Parma.
All the rivalry.
Here is Harry Kane for Tottenham. Oh, what a goal! A classic derby goal from Harry Kane. Catch him if you can.
All the stars.
Oh, back here's Liverpool 2 in front. Talk about impudence. Talk about improvisation. Talk about Sadio Mane.
And all the game-changing moments.
And Raheem Sterling rattles it home. And once more, City are in front in a trice.
All the updates from the Premier League on ZiFM Sport.
Action continued in the Premier League. Burnley beaten by Southampton at home 1-0. Sheffield United, they look like they're in big trouble. They lost to promoted Leeds United 1-0. And then the big surprise of the weekend, well, there's another one coming, but this one is also a surprise. West Ham thumping Wolves 4-0 in London. Manchester United managed to get 3 points on the board in very farcical circumstances at the end, but at the end of it all, the right decision was made. Bruno Fernandes with the penalty to give them victory at the Amex Stadium. Dominic Calvert-Lewin continuing his merry ways. He's scoring for fun, isn't he, Barry? Dominic Calvert-Lewin under Carlo Ancelotti, and he guided his team to a 2-1 win over Crystal Palace.
This manager suits him because we always wondered how Dominic Calvert-Lewin was cutting it as a Premier League footballer. We always thought that he looked like he was good value but never quite achieved his potential. And now under Carlo Ancelotti, he's enjoying his football and he's scoring important goals, different goals, headers, tap-ins, blasts from top corners. You've got all sorts of goals there. So a man who's enjoying his football, rich vein of form.
I did talk about another surprise. It came last night. Leicester thumping 5-2 winners at the Etihad versus Manchester City. Alois, that's a result we didn't see coming.
Yeah, we didn't see it coming. You know, the other time we're talking off air, we're talking about Manchester City and Liverpool drawing far away from Liverpool early on, from Manchester United rather early on. So we were saying that Manchester City and Liverpool are the front runners to win the championship again this season, and we didn't see it coming. We thought that it was going to be a straw for Manchester City against Leicester, but hey, what a game Leicester played, and they play quick attacking football, counter-attacking football that is second to none. And with the Jamie Vardy always up front, they are always a threat. Well done to Leicester for that incredible result that we never saw coming.
But it was a weekend that was blighted by controversy, handballs and VAR. Let's hear from Roy Hodgson and Steve Bruce, two veterans of the game, now in management at Palace and Newcastle, who spoke about their disdain for the new handball rule.
I just don't understand how we've allowed it to happen. I don't understand how the Premier League, the referees, the coaches, the managers, the players, I don't know how we've allowed this type of situation, which we have virtually in every match at the moment, to occur, because the rules of football are important. One of the beauties for me of the rules of football was basically everyone knew them, because most people have played some sort of football, even if it was only in the schoolyard. But now we've got to, take on board rules which are being suggested are the right ones to judge handball, and for me they aren't the right ones to judge handball, so I think the whole thing's a nonsense. And
well, I can understand why Spurs are going to go berserk, and the way Roy Hodgson reacted yesterday, it's a total nonsense. And look, we've got one today, and we should be jumping for joy and through hoops, but I'd be devastated if I was against it. So maybe Roy's right, we have to all get together. We put the referees under this enormous pressure. Look, the handball rule's been around for years, and if it's deliberate handball, then yes, but the decisions are just, they are, for me, ruining the spectacle. It was great for us today, of course, but we have to be brutally honest that not one or two of them will go against us. So I think we have to get together as the managers, coaches, wherever it is, to go to the Premier League and say this must stop.
Chris, a lot of confusion right now in the English Premier League, and Roy Hodgson rightfully asking the question, how has football allowed to get itself into this messy place?
It's an incredibly messy place, and it's down to a rule that, look, when you take a look at that match, the Tottenham game, when you take a look at the scenario and you take a look at how the rule is applied, the referee is absolutely correct in its application. But it goes back to the fact that the rule itself is problematic. And once that the rule itself is, restructured, or I don't know how they're going to do it, this is going to continue to be a problem, especially this season. And it's a mess that needs to be corrected as soon as possible, just because of the weight of the matches and what can happen from a result in this situation, from a winning position to a draw.
Barry, Chris is absolutely spot on that the match officials and VAR can only implement an existing rule. It's there in the rule books, so it has to be implemented. IFAB and FIFA are the problem.
So why wasn't it applied in the Chelsea game? You look at Kai Havertz, he handles the ball, and the equalizing goal is given and awarded, albeit the law says that if it strikes any part of the arm and goes into and turns into a goal, that goal must be disallowed. The goal wasn't disallowed for Chelsea, so the application of this rule is selective as well.
Yeah, selective, and I got no answers, Barry, for you as to why that one wasn't chalked off.
I don't think you would.
A very, very surprising decision, that one. The Chelsea goal shouldn't have stood. Now there are two matches on tonight. Fulham versus Aston Villa is already underway, and then the big one, it's Liverpool who entertain Arsenal. We've had a really, really good start to the season. Now, Alois, Arsenal have started well. Liverpool are the defending champions. This is a good test for Mikel Arteta and his project.
Yeah, it's a good match. It's a good match. The fact that Arsenal started well and doing great, and Liverpool also started well. So this is a test for both managers for me, if you ask me. So we have to wait and see. This is going to be a thriller. Both teams playing attacking football, so we are going to enjoy.
Chris, Jurgen Klopp would have taken note of the result from last night, Manchester City going down to Leicester. Surely he'll be telling his team not to be complacent.
Absolutely. I think complacency at this point, especially for Liverpool, would be entirely problematic. And if they go into this against a very strong Arsenal side that's playing well, then they'll definitely have a plate handed to them.
Fabinho started in defence, Barry, in that game against Chelsea. A lot of people argued that were it not for the fact that Mane scored a brace, then surely Fabinho should have been man of the match. He was that impressive in central defence. Do you persist with him if you're Jurgen Klopp?
Well, it'll be interesting to see, because we understand that earlier Gomez returned to training. So it'll be interesting to see whether he persists with him. If it were me, I think I would, because he was phenomenal. His ability, his timing is on point, and his passing ability as well. I would just stick with him.